Okay, so this build comes from Emergencies, who has sent me a tank build to review. This is a level 32 tank build that goes all the way up to level 32 because that is currently the level cap. I'm gonna check the notes here. Fighter tank build, built to handle everything in the game on the hardest difficulties. I believe this is the best balance in defenses while able to make small changes for extreme cases. Make any changes you want, all gear options are open. I included 3 gear sets, but standard is the only set of requests you look at, others only if you want to. Thanks for looking over. So I'm going to do my best to look over all of this, try to look at, take a gander at stats. This is a complete build review because this is the expensive one that also has the items in it. So we're going to be looking over items, what we can change. Items are really difficult because it's usually like really interlocked pieces, so it can be difficult to make changes. But baseline, we'll take a look at the stats first. Intimidate, 125, more than enough. The hardest things in the game are only around 130, so that's fine. Got reasonable saves. The plight of fighters is saving throws. So as long as you have freedom of movement, you should be fine on the will front. Especially considering, for whatever reason, all the will force damage, you only need like plus 50 and you'll make it even on the hardest content. And a lot of constitution. This build has 8,300 hit points, which is way too much. 450 armor class, very good. 500 PRR, very good. MRR, you'd think this would be more important, but with this many hit points, you don't really need to worry about it that much. Only 7 dodge because it's capped by a tower shield. Take a look at that. Lots of fortification's a little low for a fighter, so you may need more fortification. You do have the this character, by the way, has a completed Reaper tree because all the Reaper points. So you do have access to the Reaper steadfastness effect here, which you can apply. But that would be the first spot that makes me nervous, is missing some of that fortification. It's a little low for some of the content, considering fortification penetration is a new stat that they're adding into the new content, especially the new raid has a lot of fortification penetration in it. The T-Rex that you have to fight, he bites. A lot of threat generation from melee. I don't know how much damage you do, but you got some melee power. Double strike 21. So that's interesting. But yeah, a lot of defensive stats. Let's take a look. So maxing out con, some strength. This is an Asimar build. All makes sense. Maxing out constitution. I can't see any complaints here. Let's take a look at some feats going on here. We got shield mastery. I'm going to ignore the toughnesses for now just because they're important, but they're not like important to the readability of this. So we got shield mastery. It's important. Heavy armor bonus. Completionist, of course. Heavy armor. Improved shield mastery. Heavy armor. Dodge. Has mobility in here built in. Spring attack. I really like spring attack. On a fighter tank, I think spring attack is really, really useful. The main reason is not the dodge bonus, but it's because the spring attack grants you the ability to be very mobile in combat. One of the problems with fighters, sometimes you get slowed when you're fighting monsters as a tank. Loader blades, for example, is a slow. So spring attack, good choice. Really like that one. Depending on where you put your points, you have no tactics built into here, which could be relevant depending on what you're taking. Although you have shield deflection. I personally don't like shield deflection, but I understand why you might take it if you're doing content that I don't normally do. Force of personality for the charisma is interesting as opposed to wisdom, because you do have more charisma than wisdom. And it is a lot of bonuses to your saves, so it's about 20 points here. It's not bad. Bulwark of defense, just for the defense. Perfect shield mastery. I do want to look at Bulwark of defense. Might change this, we'll see. Epic toughness. Now you have a couple options here. So force personality is an optional. I actually don't think you need force personality at all. I would just straight up do toughness. Because does this include force personality? No, it does not. 65 is enough. Assuming you have freedom of movement, there's nothing else that's going to get you here. I would definitely just pick toughness on this one. I thought that was with force personality. So I would just straight up do toughness. So I'm just going to put toughness in here. I think that's a better choice than swapping them out. Oh, I know, but I need to look at the EDs. And then I would take spring attack 100% over shield deflection. Shield deflection, there was a time where just standing still and tanking and blocking stuff was like essential to doing stuff. But in modern raids, you have Hunter be Hunted, Dryad and the Demigod, a lot of these things where you need to move around. Or if you don't need to move around, the boss is not hitting you for this type of damage. So as an example, in Hunter be Hunted, the big damage, it can roll a whole bunch of different damage types, but force is the big one. Now granted, 40% chance to take no damage from the final boss in Hunter be Hunted when he rolls non-force is not bad. I still like spring attack a little bit more, but this is very situational, so I'm not sure. And then completionist obviously is going to be better than toughness. because it's 2 less health, but it's bonus to all your stats. So I'm just going to get rid of that and just shove in completionist there 100%. That is just a 100%. I would put that there. Actually, it's not 2 less health anymore because... Oh, is it toughness for each additional level? Yeah, it is. It is still 2 less health. Yeah, it is. Epic shield mastery. Yep. Epic toughness. Elusive target. Elusive target is interesting. I would definitely take elusive target over epic or over toughness because 5% chance to completely ignore is basically mean. Think about if a monster misses on a 1, now they miss on a 2 as well. So I think that this is very, very good. It's basically like 5% dodge chance. So I would just put elusive target in here. I think it is the way to go. Even though I know the health is kind of important, I think elusive target is quite good. And I use it on pretty much all those builds. I think it is going to be better. Now, this build doesn't take deific warding, and that is important. Also, no fail fortitude saves in a 1. We'll take a look at that as well. Sign of Celestia and legendary toughness. The reason why I say deific warding is an interesting option is because deific warding obviously is a fantastic feat. It gives you extra PRR and MRR, and more when you get hit, but you get it for free from Epic Destinies. But, and so this is pretty straightforward. It's got the deific resilience here, where you gain deific warding, and if you already have, you gain 5% quality hit points. Can you save enough points in other trees to just take the feat deific warding and get more health anyway? Because the trade-off here is 5% quality hit points, but you're picking that up from falconry. You get 5% quality hit points. Could you drop falconry and pick up more hit points? That's the question. Because, you know, you get 1 constitution, 6 physical resistance rating, technically 9 physical resistance rating, 3 magic, and 15 healing amp, as well as the health, 5% health. Would it be worth it to take the feat, so you lose that, and then don't spend any points in falconry, and can you get more by spending the points in other places, more defense, right? Can you just pick up, you know, these abilities here, as well as shield deflection? Could you pick up just straight up more health somewhere else in another tree? Falcon Roost for sprint boost. That's also true. You also do get sprint boost. So we'll have to take a look at all of the different options. Make sure there's constitution to hit and damage. Just constitution damage from the dwarf tree. Well, let's take a look here. So Stalwart Defender, you pick up pretty much all the good stuff. All the good stuff here. You've got the Threatening Countenance, which is good for the extra threat. Important note that the melee threat generation does not apply to Intimidate. It only applies to attacks, so you do need to attack people. This build does not look like it's a very much of an attack people build, considering you don't grab the strength here. You don't take block and cut either. But everything else is pretty good. You don't take the extra bonus to saving throws, which is another reason why I was saying that Force Personality is not really necessary for this build, and I wouldn't really recommend it. So everything else seems pretty fine. Counterattack's bad. Like, just strictly bad. And you don't take the HP bonus because you're taking Epic Defensive Fighting, which is fine on a fighter for the most part. And then, of course, Thick of Battle is good. And then you have Azamar for the cores, grabbing the extra charisma here, the stronger bonds. Now, it's interesting because you have the charisma. You don't really need the hit points. They don't help you at all. But you do get dodge, technically, from some of this, just a little bit. I don't know how useful the healing hands here are, although I do love the healing amp from Azamar. And I do love Protector. Obviously, this is very good with a 5% stacking bonus to HP. So it's nice. Celestial Tutelage doesn't do anything for you here because you already have all these proficiencies. And it's not relevant. You use Kensai to get extra action boosts, because I guess you use action defense, boost defense all the time, as well as conditioning for the fortification. Now, this isn't actually all bad. I do think you need more fortification, so I actually don't have a lot of complaints about that. Now, hypothetically, imagine I did break down Falconry. So maybe you have like 1 point in sprint boost or something, or 3 points. So you save, you know, a bunch of points out of here. What would you get anywhere else if you were to do that? So Vanguard, you've gone for Missile Shield. I think not taking Stunning Shield is a mistake. Even 1 point in here with your stats, because it's based off of your Constitution, would be just the ability to stop anything in its tracks. Any Reaper, dangerous champion, mob you need to do something about. It's such a good just even 1 pointer. Yeah, it's a minute cooldown, but it's still very, very, very useful and very good, even if you're not doing that much damage. Plus, you're already using Shield Smash anyway for the extra physical and magical resistance rating, because that's just good. So that's not bad. You could also just take Vistani Night Fighter as well for the extra negative energy absorption, which you don't need because you have Death Ward, except for areas where your Death Ward is stripped away from you. That's not really relevant content. I don't think there's any relevant content right now where they strip your Death Ward, except for like R10s when you're doing Ravenloft and other stuff, but it could come in handy in other places. And then Miststalker with the saving throws. Unfortunately, getting immunity energy would be a little expensive. Outside of this, you've also got Fade Arc Illusionist, Harper Agent, Horizon Walker, and Inquisitive. I'm just double checking to see if there's anything I'm missing here. Because Kensai does give you the option to get some of these stats, but they're not really relevant, and a lot of the stuff isn't defensive, even though Power Surge would be kind of fun. So that's Vistani. Fade Arc Illusionist gives you access to what? Technically, you've got my back for Magic Missile immunity, but it's really not that big of a deal. You can get it from other places. Bend Light's not very good, so Fade Arc Illusionist doesn't really have anything for you here. Harper Agent does let you pick up 15 hit points for a few, which is not entirely bad, but it's also not great, and the rest of the trade doesn't really give you anything important and impactful and defensive. Inquisitive has not a single defensive thing in it. The only thing it has is Hit the Streets, where you get more diplomacy, which is not great.
I did some questing with Emergencies the other day, and it took him forever to die when the big lag hit. I think you can just send the build as is.
I mean, I can agree with that, but he paid for a review, so I'm going to review. I do what the people pay for. Technically, you could pick up Protection from Good and Evil, which is not that great, but you could go for this. Everything else is not really important on Horizon Walker. So I don't see anything useful in any of these extra trees. So really the question is, what's more impactful? Falconry, going 8 points in Falconry, where you basically drop the physical resistance rating here and the Falconry physical resistance rating here to put some points into Vistani. Vistani lets you get access to deflect arrows every 6 seconds. Now you have deflect every 2, which I think is actually better. To gain some Miststalker points. Don't love that. Where else would you spend the points? You already have the health here. I still think that this is very good. I still think Stunning Shield is very good and is worth the 1 point, but that's also playstyle dependent, but just this one button. Now the problem is you also don't have any tactics either, so getting an extra plus 12, or yeah, it is plus 12 to tactics from the fighter tree would help out a lot. But where are you right now? Right now, you could probably slot an augment for stunning, but I'm just gonna double check. Where are my tactical DC breakdowns? So you're on 10 on stun from just Reaper points. So 10 plus what is this? 116 divided by 2 is 58. So it's plus 58 on your DC. So you're just shy of 100 without an item. Could be something to think about. But for now, let's just keep staring at this a bit. I think that I wouldn't really make any major changes right now. Everything looks pretty good, though. This is a good-looking build. A lot of points. And you have Dreadnought and Fury of the Wild. Now, Fury of the Wild is very interesting because you have Be the Whirlwind, but you don't have any of these things. So I'm assuming this is just for the hit points because it gives you hit points. You've got Primal Scream, which does work while raging, or does not require raging, which is kind of cool. You have Cold Iron Bypass, and then you pick up a bunch of nothing just so you can get Voice of Fury and Unquenchable Rage. Now, Unquenchable Rage is very, very good. This is a very, very good ability. Because it gives you 12% damage reduction to everything after you use Primal Scream, which is fantastic. Also, it gives you a heal that scales off your melee power, which you actually have a reasonable amount. So what you could, in theory, do is just take Deific Warding. You could straight up just take Deific Warding to max out Unquenchable Rage. Which gives you a 3% better effect.
I love to see build reviews. I liked listening to the YouTube vids while driving to / from work.
That's good. That's why we're going to keep doing them. That's an interesting thought experiment. So literally just trading out that feat. So you had toughness before. So you lose 32 hit points. But the benefit, right away, the benefit of not taking that, the 32 hit points, where are you? Is that you now have, so you have slightly less hit points, right? So you need to go down. And by the way, from all the enhancements, 32 hit points is a lot. So it's like 60 health. However, the changeover is you have a slightly better usable ability here in Primal Scream, and that Primal Scream now also heals you, and the heal is pretty substantial. With your healing amplification, this is going to be healing you for around like 1400 outside of Reaper, which is okay. You're not too scared of dying there, but especially when we're going to be pushing the new raid and we don't even know how hard it is, it'll be nice. And also 3% extra damage reduction that you can entirely control is very good. Being able to Primal Scream and reduce damage by a specific effect by a lot is very, very nice. It requires more finesse and paying attention to stuff, but it's very, very good. Now, is there something that would be better? Also, you took Legendary Dreadnought for Thick-Skinned. So you get the hit points, you get the 15 physical resistance rating, which is not bad. You get more hit points, and you have the extra action boosts. So your character is picking up a total of a lot of action boosts plus your action boost defense. So you can pretty much always run it, which is kind of cool. Extra threat generation is nice. I'm shocked you don't take Throw the Boom. This is so good. If you don't take Throw the Boom, there's no way you should be taking the shield. Why don't you take Throw the Boom? I mean, it's not bad for picking up ads and other things. Taunting untauntable creatures. I don't know if there's anything untauntable in the next raid. A lot of skeletons. Yeah, this is one of the best abilities in DDO, in my opinion. But, yeah. If you don't take Throw the Boom, then you shouldn't take Stunning Shield. That's just it. Let's see here. Obviously, you're not using that. Shield prowess for the extra shield contribution to armor class. Endless Vigil. So, I really like the Healing Hands. And I think that they're very valuable. The benefit of the Healing Hands is you can save the healer. You can save the people that are dying that aren't you. Even on a fighter, this effect is very good. The problem is you have to spend 2 here, 3 here, and take this. But it's really good. But it's really expensive. Because it's 6 extra points. Yeah, 2, 6. And where do you scrape 6 points out? Well, you don't want to drop anything in the tree. You kind of just have to spend more. You'd basically be trading out the Primal Scream stuff and swap out of this build into that one. But, so you would probably drop Fury of the Wild and then grab something else, either Divine Crusader, because Divine Crusader gives you, you'd be able to pick up Weather Any Blow, plus the physical and magical resistance rating, and the magic missile immunity, and the effect where when you're under 50%, you drop a Consecrate. Plus the Crusade, you drop the Consecrate there, so it's underneath your feet, which is actually quite good. But you have to take stuff, all of which are bad in the cores that you don't want to take. You don't want to take any of this stuff. And then also you're just not getting as much. Although, to be fair, you don't really get a lot here. Your dodge is increased by 1. Wow. Saves versus traps. Whoa. There's a bunch of, like, really bad abilities that don't help you at all. To be fair, that happens a lot here. You also get fewer hit points, because this is only 15 hit points versus the 20 here, so you would be down by quite a few health. And then, of course, you're not getting the extra 4 Constitution, which is even more health, which, you would have Primal Scream active, which is difficult. I think it depends on what your goals are. So, looking at the build and the way that you've described it and how you do R10s, I think that the way you said you've got it set up, so you're just specifically about tanking, your character doesn't interact with the party, right? So you don't resurrect, you don't heal, you don't do any support, you just tank the boss and focus 100% on the monsters. The location of other players and their health bars is not really relevant to what you're doing with this tank build, because you're just focused on like you and the monster, which obviously is relevant when you're doing like R10s for raiding or like high Reaper raiding, because the monsters are hitting you hard. You need to be in tune with that. This is a bit of content I don't do. So with that regard, I think that I wouldn't really change this build too much. If you were thinking the other way and you were thinking a little bit more about that team support, I would probably drop Fury of the Wild, grab the Weather Any Blow here, and then also grab this. And the reason why is because the lay on hands, you get a total of what? I think this is like 6 of them, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's basically a full heal for in an AoE instantaneously on some part of the raid. So if somebody gets aggro, somebody takes a little bit of damage, you know, it's different. The problem is if a healer's standing in the wrong place, depending on your content you're doing, in like an R10 raid, they're instantly dead, so you can't really do any healing anyway. So I would say it's very, very depending. The type of content that you're doing, it makes sense. Yeah, if you're doing lower level content, I would go the other route with the healing hands and also for the Divine Crusader instead, as it's going to be more versatile. You need to figure out positive spell power into the build, though, because this scales off of positive spell power. Yeah, and the unconsciousness range for here, because you get this 100, 250 stacks with the augments and or legendary green steel, and I have a thought. I think I'm going to see legendary green steel. You bet I am. It's almost all LGS. So this character has 15 opposition, which is one of the reasons why the health is so high. So the hit points here. If I drag this up here, somewhere, Grim Barricade. There's percentages. So you can see that opposition is granting 18% extra hit points. And then you have 20% from Unyielding Sentinel, Strength of Vitality. And then 25% from Epic Defensive Fighting, 5% from Asmar, and 5% from Conditioning for the quality. So that's a lot of extra hit points. So like I said, the Green Steel is a big deal. It is adding 861. I have not done Green Steel before. This also gives you all the saves as well. So will saves, reflex saves, yeah, and then Ethereal. So you got 9-piece Ethereal and Opposition, which gives you Brazen Brilliance all the time, which is always fun. No, what is this? Opposition? Yeah, Brazen Brilliance, which really doesn't matter. But it also gives you Incorporeality. So that is 4% plus 5, so it's an extra 2.5%, so it's an extra 3.5% Incorporeality. I don't know if you have improved Incorporeality in this build, but yeah, this set is basically Sharn set plus, you know, Green Steel saves, Green Steel saves, Green Steel saves. Green Steel electric resistance. The new raid is sonic damage, by the way, so keep that in mind. That's always fun. A lot of sonic damage. You have a 5 ring, which is interesting. Circle of Malevolence gives the highest amount of Intimidate in the game and the highest amount of Insightful Sheltering. That's why people are using these. They're like bugged items. This item is too good, but it is what it is. It's in the game. And you have Labyrinthine Edge here for the, it's got the Salt and the Enhanced Blood Rage. I probably wouldn't change Labyrinthine Edge because the Enhanced Blood Rage is nice, and the Salt is obviously very, very good. This is, what shield is this? I can't see, it's going off the screen. Bulwark of Snow. Bulwark of Snow is really nice. It's got the Force Absorb. And also the shield is easy because you can swap it out whenever you want. So you can use Bulwark of Snow now, which, yeah, it's your only winter piece, and then depending on obviously what you're fighting, you can swap it out to Lunar Eclipse if you need the Alignment Absorption and Mirror Shield. You know, you can swap it out to pretty much whatever, or the Aegis of Osorial, again, if you need the Alignment Absorption. So you have a lot of options to swap it. I think that this is a very easy swap. You don't need to just use Bulwark of Snow. Assuming you have the other ones, it's a simple swap depending on the content that you're doing. Or Mirror Plate if you want the block elements for if you're dealing with a lot of elemental damage. For example, in the new raid, where you have the T-Rex that is going to be constantly hitting you for Sonic, this might actually not be too bad because it's got the quality magical sheltering in there. However, you have a Collective Sight. Now, Collective Sight's interesting because the only reason why this is better than any other item with 2 augment slots is because it gives +2 bonus to all saves. You've also got the Wild Fortitude set for the Artifact Constitution. In theory, you could swap this out for basically any other item because you have Quality Constitution here, and then the Insightful and the regular Constitution. Is there any way to swap that out? I don't know if there is. You can get 14 Constitution augments, but I don't think you can, and then an Insightful 5, but you need like 3 augment slots on goggles to fit that in. I don't think there's any goggles with 3 augment slots that aren't artifacts. And you obviously don't want to shove an artifact goggle in here when you are using Artifact Heart of Sulamates. Oh, and you have no augment slots anyway because of the Because of all this. Because there's no augments here. Augments that you're running are Ultimatum, that gives you Petrification immunity? How often does that come up in conversation? That can't come up very often. 5 rings is Charisma, Accuracy, Intimidate, Quality PRR. Quality PRR is good. You don't need Intimidate, because you have Intimidate on Circle of Malevolence already. Oh, Zulkis? Oh, shit. Oh, I didn't know he turns you to stone. So you could put Stunning on here. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. Mark of Death, another one, that's true. Comes up. This shows my lack of rating expertise. And then it's got Wild Fortitude, because you have 3 pieces in Wild Fortitude. Well, that's good. There we go. Note to self, don't touch anything in this build for now. Hit cancel. Don't hit OK, hit cancel. Perfect. 5 rings might be a little fungible with the goggles. Maybe. You want the charisma. You want this. I think of how else you would fit it here. Other augments you're using. Litany, Topaz of Swiftness, Wild Fortitude. Diamond of Dexterity 12. You can get a 14, but yeah. What does the Dexterity do for you? It gives you more reflex saves. Do you have spell saves built into this? Saving throws, reflex versus spells. You do have spell saves from the standard issue sigil. You could probably drop the Dexterity here in favor of something else. I don't think you need the Dexterity on this one. Because it doesn't give you any armor class, because you're already above your max dex bonus anyway. So you don't need this Diamond of Dexterity at all. So what else could you use? Diamond of Insightful Charisma 5. That's not bad. Did they add... Am I imagining this? Did they add a command augment? An augment that gives insightful charisma skills? Or am I imagining that? I'm okay if I'm imagining that. I just think they did. There is a command augment? Because a command augment would be better than this. For sure. Is it from Isle of Dread? Is it the Silver Tongue Sapphire? No. Although you do want that. That would be another one that would be great for this build, would be the Silver Tongue Sapphire. Brightbane Emerald. Oh, it's green? Just swap the helm if I need extra intim. Oh, Emerald of... might not be here. Oh, it comes from Vixor? Okay. Yeah, it's not in here, but that is an option over top of the charisma here. So what you could do is you could swap this out for the Brightbane. That gives you an extra blue slot. And then with your blue slot, you could swap in the Silver Tongue Sapphire, which gives you 15% cooldown reduction on Intimidate, which would be nice for just making sure you're holding on top of stuff. Although in theory, if you don't have to worry about that, that also just gives you a blue slot. +7? Yeah, and Insightful Charisma 5 doesn't matter, so I would definitely swap that out. Which would give you the Intimidate that you need. You basically have high enough Intimidate to never have to worry about it. But basically, at the end of the day, you can easily drop this Dexterity Augment. I'm just wondering if there's any better goggles than what you're currently using. Dinosaur Bone crafting is like okay, but if you want the Heart of Sulamades for the Curse immunity, as well as the Fire and Evil Absorption is really nice. You don't necessarily need that. So if would there be a better set of goggles? No, not really. Not really. No, that's an augment or artifact. That's damage. Do you have Ghostly in the build at all? I don't know. In reality, you don't have Ghostly in the build at all. Which is quite good to have Incorporeality. It'll be better than this. So hypothetically, imagine this scenario. Yeah, there's no AUG slots, though. You basically you're limited to raid goggles pretty much exclusively because you need the extra augment slots. Not everything has 2 slots on it. You need something with 2. This is basically 0%. Yeah, it's not entirely 0%. The problem with this is the diversion, but you don't melee stuff anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Because you could get enhanced ghostly, which is 15% incorporeality, plus you're already 5.5% that you get from legendary green steel, which would bring you up to 20.5% incorporeality, which is not 0. It is extra damage reduction. I'm not allowed to talk about how it works on R10, but I'm just saying that 20.5% works on R10. So that could be an option if you wanted it. So the benefit of this, so let me just, if I just swap this around here. So you lose, this would require you to get a new augment. But now you still want to have the wild fortitude. We put in a diamond of constitution. Get a new one of 14. And then replace the diamond of dexterity with the diamond of insightful constitution here. And now you've picked up incorporeality and you still have the same amount of constitution. Technically, your saves have also gone down by 2, but that doesn't matter. And reflex being 81 against spells is still 91, which means you literally can't fail anything in here. So you're going to be no fail on reflex. Or not no fail, but only fail on a 1. And then the Insightful Charisma, obviously you can replace it with the Sapphire of Silver Tongue if you want. The Insightful Charisma 5 gives you a couple more stats, but the Sapphire of Silver Tongue is nice because it gives you the cooldown reduction, which could possibly be more useful. Because the benefit of having a shorter cooldown on Intimidate is when you have 2 monsters that come out that you need to take care of. It just means you can grab things sooner rather than later. You don't have to be as patient with that. I think of other things that have augments that you can change around. Epic Land of the Dead, Swiftness you don't want to change. You're really, really limited on your augment slots. Greater Heroism and Good Luck. Greater Heroism is something that people can cast on you, but if you don't have a bard, it might be a little bit difficult. As far as your filigrees go, I don't really have a lot to say here. This is the exact same filigree set I run on my tank. What is this? Double Constitution, double PRR, and double Constitution? Whoa! Is this a Shattered Device 6 PRR? Oh my god, is this Nihilstol's 4 set? Oh no, it's not, it's 3 set. You only run Nihilstol... Oh no, Nihilstol 4, yeah. Is this Nihilstol 4 set for the hit points? Wow! But, yeah, I would probably swap out the Sapphire of Greater Heroism, at the very least, for the Silver Tongue, because you're able to get that other places. And you already have Unconsciousness range, which I don't believe stacks with the... Wait, is this 128? How much is the Unconsciousness range diamond? Or Sapphire? Undying. It's 225. This would give you an extra 100 unconsciousness range. So 100 unconsciousness range would be pretty good. So it would put your unconsciousness range at... I don't know, is that tracked in here? Your hit points? Oh, unconscious range. So you had 499. So you'd go up to 6 or 500? 599? You did that, which is not bad. I wonder how this works in the builder. I'm just going to test this out. Non-stacking. Oh, apparently this doesn't stack with the Die Hardest. Oh, the builder's wrong anyway. So this number is still wrong because it's not stacking with this either. Yeah, the builder's wrong. You would have more than this. That's something to think about. Now, the downside is you've lost some charisma. At an odd number. Yeah, you've lost 3 points of charisma. Which is unfortunate. But your Intimidate's still fine. And Slave Lords, you've got the 13 charisma here, and then the Wild Fortitude. You can't really change anything here. I didn't check the augment sets. Festive Constitution and Diamond of Strength. What do you use Strength for? You don't attack anything. Your double strike is basically 0, so you can't really pull threat effectively on a single target. Unless you can, and I am unaware of that, but I feel like you're not. Double strike 21. I mean, you have 178 melee power, so you do some amount of damage, but it's not enough. Strength is for pug raids. If this is just for damage, by the way, oh, it's only purple. If this was, is it it's topaz of damage, isn't it? It's sapphire of accuracy, topaz of damage. This is sapphire of damage. No, it's not. I was gonna say you could just. I would add deadly in here instead. Because you have accuracy on this. And you have purple of strength. Yeah, that's actually a better option. I would do that. I would do purple, and I would do a accuracy 20 here instead. And then swap this from accuracy to deadly 10, which gives you 4 more damage. So that's 4 more damage points. 4 more damage. And then the shield, as you said, you have a globe in here. I mean, I usually like sticking that in the artifact, so it's easier. But you can't fit it in the artifact. As I said, I can tell you that whether you want to believe me or not, this 20% incorporeality will in fact work in R10. And it works even better when you're not in R10, but it does work in R10. I just can't go into detail as to how that actually works. I'm just gonna just click on DDO so I don't get kicked out for being AFK. But yeah, other than that, I would say that you probably don't need the melee threat here. It's just the intimidate points. You probably don't need this melee threat either. But it is nice to have. But you could probably save this 1 point if you wanted. I don't really know what else you would take. But you could save this 1 point. In fact, you could probably save this point and all 3 of these points. You'd have 4 points left over. At which point, with 4 points, you could take all sorts of stuff. I mean, if you want to attack things anyway, you've always got Spiritual Bond, which gives you more damage. If you want to apply more status effects, you could take Shattering Strike to make it better for your allies to damage monsters. As an option. If only this Wanderlust gave you the bonus like that Barbarian gets when you use an action boost, you get movement speed, so you can then just drop action boost sprint entirely. Technically, you could take armor training instead of this effect because you don't need the haggle and the melee threat generation, and then take this instead. Although this gives you 1 hit point for each action point you spent in the tree, so this is technically 1 hit point, so keeping the points here is actually not even that bad of an idea. Yeah, I don't really see much point to changing a lot of this stuff. It's because of the way that you play the build is very different than the way that I would play the build. This is also the reason why you do R10 raids and I don't do R10 raids. That, and also I don't enjoy doing it. That is a part of it. Not the whole of it, but that is a part of it. I really like this fortification. I feel like you're missing fortification. That is my big worry, is that you're missing fortification on here. It's so good. But obviously, I would probably do this. I don't know how often it comes up that you get blinded in raids, but especially with some of the new features of the monsters, how they all bypass fortification, which, as I said, if you haven't done the new raid on the preview server, you need fortification. It's really important for the raid as a tank. So I would probably go with Brace for Impact over this, over Spot and Listen.
What's Rouge's favorite armor? Hide. Hello, Strimtom.
Hi, Ogden. Welcome back to the Strimtom for 19 months. Appreciate the support. Thank you, and you're welcome. I'm just staring at this until something hits me, like a ton of bricks in my face. Yeah, I can't see any of the changes I would make here. Again, we're talking about a raid tank. If you're talking about not raid tanks, an idea I want you to consider for the future, for when you decide you want to take a break from raiding, because raiding isn't fun. See this tower shield? Garbage. What a bad item. But have you seen this one? Quality Sheltering. Insightful spell resistance, so you get a spell resistance and a profane life force. It's got the well-rounded built in. And then that means that your max dex bonus is only based on your armor, which means you can drop, number one, all the tower shield stuff. So you can call the tower shield mastery here totally useless. You can still keep the armor stuff, but you call that. You just go with a max dex bonus items all over the place. You pick up the maximum dexterity bonus out of Legendary Dreadnought, and you got plus 24 max dex bonus. You have 24% dodge. Oh my god, that's a good effect. But then you have to give up on the tower shield. And you would lose, your armor class would dip below 400. But something to think about. So there's that.
What's the wizard's favorite armor?
Mage armor?
This isn't funny. He keeps running away from his problems.
Actually, that is very funny. Yeah. The problem is, for the specifics of your build, I wouldn't change anything other than what I already changed. Yeah, like I said, for the specifics of your build, I wouldn't change anything other than what I already changed. This obviously requires getting a Diamond of Constitution 14, which good luck with that. No Shardstorm? No, because this build uses Voice of Fury to gain extra Constitution for the raw health. Because this, effectively, going up this way, gets more health from Fury of the Wild. You get all of this stuff. So you're picking up, like, the extra hit points. Because remember, Shardstorm means you have to go into Primal, which means you're dropping 80 raw health immediately. And 4 Constitution, which is 60 health. And for this one, that's because it's doubled, because there's 100% increased health in here. That's, basically losing out on almost 250 hit points. And then you're also not getting Unquenchable Rage, which gives you basically a cooldown for 15% damage reduction. Yeah, but you'd have incoming healers. Again, I think that Shardstorm is very, very, very good, but I think Shardstorm is more relevant when you're not getting somebody spamming heals into you constantly. When you don't have a person in your raid dedicated to just healing you and no one else in the entire raid. Plus also Primal Avatar only gets the physical magical resistance rating here, nothing else. And then you'd have no other defense options anywhere else. Although in theory, you could swap out Dreadnought for that, but then you would lose the extra action boost. You'd lose the, again, another 60 hit points, the 15 physical resistance rating for Shardstorm. Now, granted, it is a pretty good amount, because it's, what, 25% of your health? But then you also need the mana for Shardstorm. And you need one more point to shave from something. But in theory, you could swap out Dreadnought if you wanted to pick up Shardstorm. It's 12 points. But you take this, and this, and this, and this, and technically you could get 1 Constitution if you wanted. I don't know if there's a way to get 1 extra point of Constitution into the build, but you could pick up 1 Constitution as well. Because you grab these 3 points, so probably the physical resistance rating. Oh no, it's actually only 2 here. So you get 2 physical magical resistance rating. The Epic Strike, Thrive, because this is a 2-pointer as well, I believe, yeah. And then 1 point here, and then the upgrade, Primal, because you don't need any of this stuff, it's useless. And then you can have Shardstorm every 12 seconds. Or 20 seconds, I think. Which is not necessarily bad. But you would also have to give up a lot of hit points for it. Considering, again, Legendary Dreadnought's a lot. Plus, with the extra action boost, and also push through the line, because this character is currently rocking action boost defense and action boost sprint. So you have 2 separate action boosts that are both working for it, but action boost defense for the 15 extra armor class and physical resistance rating. Remember, the armor class is multiplied by the armor class multipliers that are coming through. So that would bring you, with the extra armor class multipliers here, that's easily bringing you over 500 armor class. True, but it's not about the stats of that, it's about this unquenchable rage. In my opinion, I think the unquenchable rage is the important part. This is just a cooldown, take 15% less damage, which is kind of good. So you can use it for a big hit. So basically, you know, imagine a scenario where, like, you know, Lord of Blades starts doing the staff spin, you can unquenchable rage it. Or Korkaz is getting ready for the Dragon Breath, you can unquenchable rage it. Is Rage Charge Augment in the build, in which case? No, that's not raging. It's when you use Primal Scream. You activate Primal Scream. You don't need the Rage Charge Augment. This character can't rage. It's only from Primal Scream. Consume Rage Charge or use Primal Scream. So yeah. That's why it's very good for this build. The only downside is, like, this entire row gives you nothing. But you get a lot of health. And you get the unconsciousness range, which is also nice. So like I said, this number is wrong. This is closer to like 700, which is pretty good. Yeah, like I said, I would deviate the build heavily, but I would probably also, I wouldn't have, you know, this many hit points. I've already dropped 60. But the benefit of dropping the 60 is picking up the extra 3% damage reduction in Primal Scream, which I think is worth it. And also, no, I think that's it. I think that's pretty much all I changed. It was more like food for thought about different ideas. I don't feel like I have a lot to contribute in terms of knowing how tanks are run currently. Other than, like, just picking up some feats. Oh, and then obviously here, Spring Attack for shield deflection. I think Spring Attack is better because of the amount of slows you get in raids. But yeah. Well, yeah, but you're not doing that. You're comparing. You have to compare the 15% damage reduction versus sort of the 25% shard storm every 20 seconds, not 15, every 20 seconds, versus the Primal Scream and also the 80 hit points and the physical resistance rating and the Constitution from Primal Scream, because you might not have it. You probably will, but you might not. And the extra unconsciousness range. And technically the melee power, which is not super relevant, but it does come in handy. Versus the Shard Storm. Like, if I just reset this tree, it's 200 health. And all the unconsciousness range. And then what do you even pick up defensively? That is an interesting idea, though. Thought experiment. Imagine. You do get some of it back. Hold on. Well, you have the defense, right? So your character is very tanky. So hold a thought. Thought experiment. So assume that Constitution went down. But you would still have access. You would still have Primal Scream on your character because somebody else is going to cast it on you, right? So imagine you still have the Primal Scream on your character. I don't know if I have a Primal Scream in here. Can you put juiced Primal Scream on you? Primal Scream lesser. So this should be a juiced Primal Scream. So you're still at 128. So you lose a little bit of health there. So you would need somebody else to Primal Scream you. But now you get access to Shard Storm. You still keep the Constitution there, assuming somebody else is Primal Screaming. There's no way you don't have somebody else who is in Fury. I mean, Fury is so good as a secondary tree for so many characters, and especially for raiding for the entire group. But then that gives you 14 points back you can spend anywhere you want. Which, in theory, lets you get Nature's Blessing if you wanted. Which is kind of interesting. It's not good, but it is interesting. Yeah. You can get evasion, which you don't need. You get a really bad healing amp effect. I was gonna say, pretty much out of Unyielding Sentinel, that's pretty much where you're going here, is Unyielding. You can pick up more stuff. So you can grab all the lay on hand stuff as well, which is not necessarily bad. The Resurrection's also not bad, because using scrolls in this build is really annoying. Yeah, even if you assume that you don't have the Primal Scream, so let's just say we turn that off, it's still losing quite a bit. Yeah, hold on, I'm thinking. The dodge doesn't matter. The dodge doesn't work. You don't need Combat Brute. You don't need any of this. You don't need Ghost Touch. You don't need Tactics DCs. You could get Untouchable to have Displacement while you have an Action Boost active. And also Unparalleled Accuracy, which is not good. Which is kind of sick. So I'd probably do that. So you grab 6 armor class. Pick up the double strike because you can. Extra stats here. Healing amp. Untouchable. 15 extra hit points. You can take Deific Warding back, which then gives you the toughness back. And you have 1 more point to spend wherever you want. The downside is you lose the unconsciousness range, which you might as well just spend here for the physical magical resistance rating. Then you go feats. And you can swap this out back if you wanted to take toughness again. So this gives you, with somebody else casting Primal Scream, more health than you had before. Without somebody on you casting Primal Scream, slightly less health. But your physical resistance rating goes... what is it? You trade 6 physical resistance rating for 3 physical, 3 magical, which is a drop in the bucket. If somebody else is casting Primal Scream, you have more Constitution. If somebody else isn't... So basically, you lose the unconsciousness range, and you gain Displacement while you're action boosting, which you're almost always action boosting. Again, Displacement is useful in R10s. You gain the hit points back from each of the cores here. And now you have an extra cooldown, Reborn in the Fire. Or no, Reborn in the Fire? Shit. Shit. I did the entire tree wrong. Thorn. Don't worry, guys. I know how to play the video game. You don't understand. And now you have Shardstorm, which on a character like this is really disgustingly high, because this is every 20 seconds you get a temporary hit point shield of 2,000 something. And you can use this all the time. Not bad. Something to think about, for sure. I don't know if there's a button for an action boost is active in here, in these stances. Because you've got blocking, Reaper mode, all that other stuff. No, it doesn't give you the option for an action boost is active, which it should. That'd be nice, just to be like, action boost is active. And that's not even including Deific Warding, Thicken the Battle, or Against All Odds, all of which is here. I think it's the best option for our 10 raids. Yeah, the reason why I think the other way is probably still better than this, as much as I like Displacement during raids, also what's up Deathy TV Raiders? As much as I like Displacement during raids, I think that, yes, it is actually correct. You should probably not be using Displacement here. you should probably be going the other way. I am still going to keep this because I think this is an interesting option and something for a comparison. But, you know, something to just keep in mind. Because being able to reduce damage by that much all the time is not bad. Yeah, if you lose, well, if you're doing an R10 raid, you are losing it in one hit. Yeah, you could probably do that as well. Wait, you need weapons as clickies. You can't do that on augments. Shit, why did I do that? I should always click cancel, not okay. There we go. Darkness Scorp is better, not when you have 20% incorporeality all the time. I think the item change is good, straight up good. But yeah. Outside of that, yeah, I don't know. Still something to think about. This is a neat option as having it active. There we go. Also, what's up, Trickle and the Hook? I think that is all that's there. What are the other gear sets, though? PRR HP swap. So this is for... You've got Dustbone Ring, a Constitution here, and you're using LGS goggles, an LGS helmet. Oh, this is just all LGS. If you just need all Legendary Green Seal, no set bonus, so you don't have anything else. It's just LGS. Okay, that's interesting. And you got Artifact PRR as well. And then the MRR swap gives you... Oh, this is just Ring of Flickering Steel for the 8% quality MRR. Which is also a fine option. Where you lose some hit points, but you gain some magic resistance rating. Which I, at the end of the day, don't think matters that much. Considering that this is almost the same one. I'm going to try for that Dino gear. No, because Labyrinthine Edge gives the Enhanced Blood Rage. And crafted Dino gear means you have to break up the sets. So that would be the hard part. I wouldn't want to break up the sets, especially because Legendary Green Seal, the whole point is having all the hit points. Like, this character doesn't do anything other than that. Yeah, I think this is what I would do. I think this is how I would break it up and how I would change it. So I apologize if I didn't adjust or change more things. We talked about a lot of stuff, but I think this is probably all I have to input here in terms of different abilities and effects that you get. So obviously changing the Annealing Sentinel. This is a neat option, not something you need to consider seriously, but still the other way around where I had the, at the end of the day with the Fury of the Wild, I still think it's probably better to, if the option is here between taking Deific Resilience here or dropping the Toughness, taking the Feat, and getting the extra 3% from Unquenchable Rage, I think that reducing damage by 3% is, during that cooldown, is going to be more impactful because you're going to be Primal Screaming all the time, and it gives you both the heal, which is not super relevant, but it could save you a little bit, and the damage taken, 3% damage taken on top of, like, as a flat reduction is really, really powerful. It is pretty good. So I would probably swap that out. And then, of course, the item, I'm confident in this item swap. I think this item swap is going to serve you better. I know the diversion is annoying because it's 20%, but it's a additive 20%, not a multiplicative. So it's not a big deal. And the enhanced ghostly is too good. And then also changing up the augments as well for the Silver Tongue. So you have the 15% cooldown reduction on Intimidate seems good. That's what I would change. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope maybe some people in chat have been adding some things that have made you think about some stuff. I would recommend trying, at the very least, testing out to see if you can do something with Primal Avatar with Shardstorm. But yeah, you need to find those augments. I mean, it's not too bad. The Silver Tongue is not hard to get. The hard one will be this one. Getting a 14 Constitution augment. It's in the game. Just gotta play more Isle of Dread. But it's there.